Good morning. Welcome. Please rise and go out of your spirit and join me in singing hymn number 16, "'Tis a Gift to be Simple." "'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be, and when we find ourselves in a place just right, Thank you. You may be seated. My name is Klaus Obermeit. I serve this congregation as chair of the worship committee. We choose speakers and prepare services when our settled minister, the Reverend Jay Wolin, is not in the pulpit. We especially want to welcome our visitors both on campus and over live stream. We invite our visitors to participate in any of our events and find out more about us and Unitarian Universalism. Simply go to our website and click on the link under Welcome Visitors banner, as you see behind me. This takes you to our virtual guest book, where you can register to receive our weekly newsletter and Zoom links to our virtual events. If you're in person here, there's a sign-up sheet for visitors outside, and as always, we invite you to join us for coffee and conversations after the service. We look forward to getting to know you. We also extend a special welcome back to Reverend Katie Culbert. She served the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tampa as Director of Religious Exploration for many years and was our ministerial intern before we ordained her into Unitarian Universalist ministry. She has crafted worship services and preached for congregations in Florida and around the country. The current focus of her ministry is pastoral care, most recently working as a chaplain at Tampa General Hospital. Katie lives in Tampa with her 2 teenage sons. And now, please rise as you're willing and able and join in singing the words of Rumi, put to music in the form of a round, which is hymn number 188, I believe. Yes, 188. Please rise as you're willing and able. Now, it's a round. We're going to sing it together once, and then we'll repeat it 3 times, with this half of the congregation starting out, and then the second half coming in when we get to Ours is No Caravan of Despair. You'll see the words up on the screen. So I'm going to lead you folks over here for the second time around, and then Katie will lead you over on this side. Now, if you're not sure what to do, or you get mixed up, just sing along and surrender to what is. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshipers, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come, this half. Good, thank you. You may be seated.
Give up the fight. Give up the fight for some other moment, for some other life, than here and now. Give up the longing for some other world, the wishing for other choices to make, other songs to sing, other bodies, other ages, other countries, other stakes. Purge the past and forgive the future, for each come too soon. Surrender only to this life, this day, this hour, not because it does not constantly break your heart, but because it also beckons with beauty, startles with delight, if only we keep waking up. This is the gift. This is the gift that we have been given, these body clothes, this heartbreak, this pulse, this breath, this light, these friends, this hope. Here we remember ourselves, all a part of it, giving thanks together. Come, let us worship. And now, if you will please join me in saying our words of affirmation, which are printed in your order of service and displayed on the screen behind me. As we light this chalice, the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, we affirm our third principle, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations.
Not yet. Testing, there we go. Our story today is Penelope Perfect by Shannon Anderson and illustrated by Katie Kapp. They call me Penelope Perfect, and if you know me, I'm sure you agree. Have you ever heard of Old Faithful? Well, that geyser has nothing on me. I wake up at 5 o'clock every morning to begin my daily routine. I smooth all the wrinkles out of my sheets and make my room perfectly clean. Next, I do 10 jumping jacks to follow my exercise chart. And for breakfast, I eat pancakes. My mom makes them shaped like a heart. I pack up my lunch bag and my school bag, and I get dressed, and I feed my cat Gus, and I kiss my mom and dad, and I head outside to the bus. And at school, I straighten my desk just so. I sharpen 6 pencils too, and I ask about extra credit and recheck the work that is due. At lunchtime, I pull out my wet wipes to kill all the germs on the table. I turn all my food to face me so I can read every label. At recess, I rewrite my lessons. I can't stand to have sloppy notes. And I practice my spelling words twice, and I brush up on my Abe Lincoln quotes. I climb on the bus to go home and tackle my schoolwork at 4. I eat dinner with mom and dad, and then I study my lessons some more. And I put on my favorite PJs, I brush my teeth and comb my hair. My parents tuck me into bed at 8 with my cat and my teddy bear, but I don't fall asleep till much later. There are so many thoughts in my head that I need to double check the list that I keep safely by my bed. I love to be prepared, with every detail on track. But sometimes a sudden storm can throw things way out of whack. I snooze through the thunder and lightning, deep in a very sound sleep. And at 5 o'clock in the morning, my trusty alarm does not beep. The storm must have knocked out the power. We've all slept till past 8 o'clock. I don't have time to shower or even to find matching socks. My bed is rumpled and my hair is a mess. I can't fix the wrinkles in my polka dot dress. I run to my parents' room crying, "What are we going to do? My watch says it's 8:17. Please tell me it isn't true." My dad leaps straight out of bed while I scoop up all my stuff. The plum I grabbed for breakfast will just have to be enough. Dad takes me to school and I gulp. What will the other kids say? I've never been late for anything. I just know this will be a bad day. So the tardy bell rings through the hallway. I sigh and I open the door, and everyone turns as I walk in the room, and their jaws nearly hit the floor. With my unbraided hair and my wrinkled dress and my mismatched shoes and sweater, I look like I've been through a hurricane. I sure hope my day will get better. I wonder what I will eat for lunch today since I didn't have time to pack it. And what if my pencils all break into two? I'm not sure I can hack it. And just when I think things can't get worse, I get my first ever B. And I slumped in my chair with my head on the desk. What a catastrophe. My teacher walks over to see me. I'm sure she senses disaster. I kind of feel like crying, but instead I burst into laughter. Oh, why do I feel so giddy? Something strange is happening to me. My wrinkled clothes are so comfy, and my messy hair makes me feel free. I decide to go out for recess. My notes can wait for a while. The other kids look surprised at first, and then they start to smile. To think of all those days I stayed in when I could have been playing kickball. The truth is, I can't stop smiling. Recess is fun, after all. A wonderful feeling of freedom fills my mind and heart. Maybe a day can end happy, even after a terrible start. I survived this memorable school day. I do my homework, and I help Mom and Dad, but I even leave time to play outside. I guess goofing off isn't so bad. I've learned not to make life a checklist. That doesn't mean that I'm lazy. It's all right to go with the flow sometimes and not make myself crazy. I've decided that from now on, I won't be in such a big hurry. I'll still try my best in all I do, but I'll try not to constantly worry. They call me Penelope Perfect. That was once what I wanted to be, but now I think it's better to just be Penelope. So, yes, that's a great book. A few weeks ago, I admitted that at times I've been a sour grape. And today I'm going to admit to you that Penelope is my soul sister. Yes, I too used to be a perfectionist, and I still struggle with it at times. Is that my husband clapping back there? But like Penelope, I've learned that going with the flow is okay. Letting go of control and just letting life happen leads to a lot more fun, a lot more happiness, and a lot of different experiences. Learning to surf the chaos of life is also a great way to reduce stress and anxiety. So now I'm going to invite our younger UUs to join me in the West Wing, where we will learn several ways to help balance you when you feel overwhelmed. Thank you.
Beautiful. I invite you now to surrender to this present moment. At this moment, in this place, you are safe. There is no danger here, no need for fight, and no need for flight. So slow your breathing. Relax your muscles. You can rest now. Surrender yourself to the space around you, to the ground beneath you. Cease fighting. Release the tension that you hold in your body. Embrace the liberation and peace that is found in renouncing the struggle. Surrender takes practice. This is not easy work. Surrender takes courage. This is not giving up. Surrender takes strength. This is not a sign of weakness. Surrender to whatever arises. This is what is. Do not resist. Slow down. Allow your mind's clamoring agitations to melt away. Focus on being. Stop striving. Stop doing. Be. Stop fixing. Stop solving. Be. Stop ruminating. Stop catastrophizing. Be. Let go of all expectations, internal and external. Descend through the layers of tension. Surrender to the flow of life. Yield to it. Do not oppose it. You are alive. You are safe. You are held. Submit to the source of all life. Trust in the source of all light. Devote your life to the source of all love. Surrender. And now let us center ourselves further with a beautiful musical piece, Morning Prayer by Karen Drucker. After the video, I invite you to sit in silent contemplation, and after which we will join in singing Spirit of Life.
Will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith, and I am stronger every moment, every day. My mind is willing and my heart is open wide. I trust my instincts and let Spirit be my guide. I vow to live a life that's real and pure and free, as I continue walking in this mystery. I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith, and I am grateful every moment, every day. There may be walls, there may be roadblocks in my way, but I can choose to take a higher path each day. And now I know that what I thought was safe and sound was only habit and regret that held me down. I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith, and I am kinder every moment, every day, and I'm more loving every moment, every day. I will surrender every moment, every day.
The work of the church is done through the support of you, our members, through regular pledge payments. We invite you to surrender your offering. Surrender your offering as the basket comes around. If you're visiting for the first time, this is our gift to you. Feel free to let the basket pass. For those online or those here on your cell phone, there is a link to donate in the description on the YouTube video or on our website right under the description of today's service. Our offering will now be gratefully given and received. Let this sacred time begin. The intellectual quest is exquisite, like pearls and coral, but it is not the same as the spiritual quest. The spiritual quest is on another level altogether. Spiritual wine has a subtler taste. The intellect and the senses investigate cause and effect. The spiritual seeker surrenders to the wonder. So when I was sitting up there, I was smiling a little bit. I'm so happy to be with y'all this morning, to be worshiping with you this morning. And the reason I was smiling is I'm going to start with a story about my youngest son being born. And I remember when I started as an intern here, he crawled underneath these chairs. My first water communion, he crawled underneath. I was mortified. He crawled underneath them. And now my two boys are like taller than me, 16 and 18. And it's wild how time truly does go by very quickly. So while I was in labor with my second child, there came a moment when the midwife told me that I needed to move positions in order for the baby, for her to be able to deliver the baby. And I was experiencing back labor, which is excruciating back pain. And the only thing that eased that pain was to lean over a yoga ball. And she told me that I needed to move. And I said, no. And then she told me again that I needed to move. And I told her again, no, that's not happening. Childbirth is a really good example of surrendering to the reality of the situation. She made it very clear that the baby was coming no matter if I moved or not. But the best thing for me to do would be to move into a different position. And so I surrendered, and Casey Tupelo Culbert was birthed into this world. Just 2 weeks prior to his birth, I was put on bed rest because of my elevated blood pressure. I was not good at bed rest. I did not appreciate being told that I had to lay on the couch all day and do nothing. Of course, now, I wish someone would tell me that. But at that time, I wanted to get up. I wanted to do things. And my family had to fuss at me and tell me to sit back down because I wanted to cook and clean and get ready for him to join us. But if I was super busy, then my blood pressure would increase, and that was unhealthy for me and Casey, so I had to be still. And it was very difficult to be still and to surrender. I knew that I should follow the directions of the midwife, but I did not like it. I don't know many people who like giving up their autonomy, who like surrendering their freedom, who like not having control over their own situation. I know it was very difficult for my grandfather to relinquish his driver's license when it became too dangerous for him to drive. And when I say difficult, I mean it was difficult. He fought us on it, and my heart broke because I could only imagine what a huge loss of freedom that was, but I also knew that his surrendering of his license was for the greater good. Surrender is often associated with fighting, with waving a white flag of defeat, with weakness, with lacking courage or strength to succeed or to win. But surrender, in a spiritual sense, is not about winning or losing. It is about achieving peace. It is about releasing fear, and it is about trust. In my experience, this is not as easy as it sounds. To just go with the flow, to be present in the moment, to move with the current, to yield. This takes practice. Surrendering the self is not something we Unitarian Universalists typically spend much time on. Consider our principles. They speak to the centrality of the self, to respecting the self, to working with other selves for community and equality. Our principles prioritize the individual's free and responsible search for truth and meaning and the right of conscience. Our principles call us to conduct moral reasoning. They engender in us moral courage. They imply an expectation that we will bring our reasoning, moral, courageous selves into the world and act in some way that serves the world. This is not surrender. This is full-blown engagement with a reasoning, moral, conscious self at the center. Our seventh principle, respect for the interdependent web of existence of which we are a part, reminds us that we are embedded in a reality that is larger than ourselves. But it doesn't explicitly call us to surrender ourselves to that reality. If anything, we typically interpret it as a prophetic call to protect the environment, as a reminder that we have a responsibility to engage in activities that sustain the web rather than deplete it. This is using the self as a moral force for environmental justice. This, too, is engagement, not surrender. This week, I looked through our hymnal for hymns and readings that might speak directly to this surrender as a spiritual practice, as a way of being. I couldn't find anything in here. I've been ministering in our faith for over 2 decades, and I don't recall ever encountering the word surrender in this book. To be honest, surrender truly is not a collective Unitarian Universalist spiritual norm. And I believe we do ourselves a spiritual disservice if we allow this to continue. And I say this because while spirituality geared toward finding the self, building up the self, using the self as a moral force is incredibly valuable in struggles for justice, in building the beloved community, in struggles for religious freedom, in participating in our democratic institutions, and in engaging in any effort that seeks to affirm the worth and dignity of all humans. Such self-oriented spirituality is not sufficient for apprehending the full range of the human experience. It is not sufficient for encountering mystery, and it is not sufficient for encountering the unknowing. It's not sufficient for living in this present moment. In fact, it often will get in the way of living in the present moment. And ultimately, it is not sufficient for encountering anything over which we do not have control. When it comes to spiritual surrender, the first step is to think about who or what we are surrendering to. Some of us were born into a faith or a spiritual practice that pre-established our identification with a higher power. Many of us, as Unitarian Universalists, have separated from what we were taught as children, if we were taught anything at all, and our beliefs about a higher power have changed. The concept of that which is greater than ourselves has expanded beyond God. I honestly find words insufficient to name this power, but some might call it the spirit of life and love, the great mystery beyond our understanding, the universe, the deep power in which we exist, the web of life, and this one deeply resonates with me, community. Community. The idea is that instead of relying solely on our own power and strength, we acknowledge that we have access to and the support of something greater than ourselves. Spiritual teacher Eckhart Tolle says surrender is to say yes to life and see how life suddenly starts working for you instead of against you. True surrender does not mean to passively put up with whatever situation you find yourself in and do nothing about it. Nor does it mean to cease making plans or initiating positive action. Surrender is the simple but profound wisdom of yielding rather than opposing the flow of life. The only place where you can experience the flow of life is the now. So to surrender is to accept the present moment unconditionally and without reservation. In the Vedic text, spiritual surrender is referred to the joy of surrender. It is the wonderful, positive feeling you have when you simply let go. It's stepping out of all limitations, expanding beyond your usual conditioning, and opening to infinite possibilities. Surrender is the ultimate sign of strength and the foundation for a spiritual life, says author Debbie Ford. Surrendering affirms that we are no longer willing to live in pain. It expresses a deep desire to transcend our struggles and transform our negative emotions. It commands a life beyond our egos, beyond the part of ourselves that is continuously reminding us that we are separate, that we are different, or that we are alone. When we surrender, we are saying, even though things are not exactly how I would like them to be, I will face my reality. I will face my reality. I will look it directly in the eye and allow it to be. Surrender and serenity are synonymous. We can't experience one without the other. So if it's serenity that we are searching for, all we have to do is resign as the general manager of the universe. Resign as the general manager of the universe. This is a concept that is deeply embedded in the 12-step addiction recovery program. One must surrender to the reality of the addiction and let go of the ego, the part of us that wants to be consumed in ourselves, our wants, our needs, our desires, our everything. When we surrender to recovery, we let that need to control go. Surrender is a gift that we can give ourselves. It is an act of faith. It's saying that even though we can't see where the river is flowing, I trust that it'll take me in the right direction. We trust the process. The ego loves to control, though. Ego loves to control. It creates the boundaries and the limitations in which we imprison ourselves. Surrender allows us to break free and step into what Deepak Chopra calls the wisdom of uncertainty. The wisdom of uncertainty. Spiritual surrender calls us to be vulnerable. It means getting out of our own way and flowing with the natural progression of life. My teaching pastor, mentor, and longtime senior minister of this congregation, Reverend Roger Fritz, introduced me to Wendell Berry's poem, The Peace of Wild Things. He loved that poem, and I believe it speaks to this idea of surrender. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound of fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in the beauty of the water. And the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water. And I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting for their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world, and I am free. With surrender comes that freedom, that comfort, that peace. In Barry's poem, he mentions fear. The presence of fear is a sure sign that we are relying on our own strength. When we come to rely solely on our own strength and our own power, we limit ourselves to the opportunities or solutions that may lay behind our field of vision or awareness. When we surrender to something greater than ourselves, to the life force itself, our fear dissolves as we make room for a new host of possibilities and opportunities. We acknowledge that there may be a plan that far exceeds our own vision or understanding about our present circumstance. Of course, as I mentioned, this doesn't absolve us of responsibility or the need to take action, but it does open the door for guidance as we move forward. And some might call this divine guidance. Some. The art of surrendering is about forgetting what you think you need. It's about releasing control and seeking what will be of the greatest, highest good for you and for others. The solution may be wildly different from what we've envisioned and may surpass what we believed or thought possible. Surrendering, becoming unattached to the outcome, creates space for these creative solutions. It allows us to see obstacles as detours in the right direction, right? Obstacles as detours in the right direction. And when we do this, we can find a deeper meaning and obtain personal growth in the thick of discomfort. We must be willing to see through a lens of love and a lens of trust, as opposed to a lens of fear. Surrendering to illness, difficult. Surrendering to loss and grief and mourning, difficult. Surrendering to the need to work on a relationship or accept the reality of a broken relationship, difficult. Surrendering to major life changes in our career, in our relationships, our location, our families, difficult. Surrendering to sobriety, difficult. Surrendering to accepting, being, and proclaiming who we truly are, even when some people in our lives and around us will not support us, difficult. It is way more than just going with the flow. It is an action. It is a conscious action that is in alignment with the universe instead of against it. The difficulty brings about the reward of a life filled with more peace and more comfort and more harmony. I hope we never give up our search for the self, that we never stop using our sense of self as a moral force in this world, but knowing how limiting the self can be, it is my prayer for each of us today that we also learn how to surrender. In those moments when our clinging and our attachment become unsustainable, may we find strength to let go, change course, move into the unknowing, to lie down where the wood drake rests and be free. May it be so. And now, if you will stand as you are willing and able for our closing hymn, 354, We Laugh, We Cry. For our closing words, I invite you, as you are comfortable, to join me in reciting the Serenity Prayer, after which we will extinguish our chalice. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I'm looking for the extinguisher. Sorry. It's been a few years. I apologize. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our heart until we are together again. Go in peace.